Good afternoon, YouTube. Fat Cat Collections back at you with another discussion video. And today I wanted to touch on something I've said in a lot of my videos when I'm reviewing a watch and showing you what it looks like on the wrist. Today I'm not going to be showing you any watches, but I just wanted to just do a quick discussion video for the people who, not that there's many, I mean, let's face it, of the 1.8 million views that I've received on my channel, not all of which are about watches. There's my cars on there and other things, electronics, that kind of stuff. But the bulk of it is from reviewing watches, mainly Invicta watches. Now, if you haven't checked out my other videos, I review all kinds of different watches. I have some replica Breitlings on there, replica Jacobs. I mean, all kinds of watches on there. I mean, old Casio, old Seiko. I mean, just every watch I've had in my collection I've reviewed, just so you can see what it looks like on the wrist and just make it a part of, you know, the history of my collection and my watch collecting. But one thing that I'm blown away by, and I don't get a lot of negative comments on my channel, and those of you who know that if you leave a negative comment against Invicta at all, I just won't post it. Like, it's just, it will not be posted. Because everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I'm not going to have people come on the channel and just bash brands that they know nothing about. But one question that does come up, a lot of people will say, you know, or not a question, but it's actually something, a remark some guys will make, some of the watch snobs I refer to them as it'll be like, Invicta sucks, Rolex is better, okay? Invicta sucks, I should buy Omega. I'm wasting my money with Invicta, I should buy Omega, Seiko, you know, Bulova. Now, in response to those comments, one, they're ridiculous, because obviously if I wanted to buy an Omega or a Rolex or Breitling, I would. I personally don't see the point in me spending that kind of money on a watch. I prefer spending $300 to $400 on a watch, and Invicta falls into my price point. Of all the watches I purchased in my life, I could easily have had one super, super high quality watch. And we're going to talk about high quality as well. It's another I think, term that gets kind of twisted, okay? Now, I personally don't like Rolex. I personally don't like Omega. My style is a large, oversized watch, and that's what Invicta produces. Now, I do have a couple smaller Invictas like the Grand Diver. Those are like the 47mm, okay? And I like that watch as well. But I buy Invicta watches not because they are the best watch. I don't review Invicta watches because I think they're better than everybody else. What I do believe is that Invicta gives you the most for your money in this style of watch. And their styling, hands down, nobody can compete with. There's not a watch out there, in my opinion, that gives you the look that Invicta gives you for the money. And I've always said in my videos, you know, Invicta is not meant to be compared to Rolex or Omega. Those are higher end timepieces. They are. You're going to spend $4,500 minimum for a basic stainless steel Rolex. And let's face it, those of you who say Rolex are better, and a lot of those people who comment or make those negative comments, they don't even own a Rolex. They never even owned a Rolex or will ever own a Rolex. The people who do make positive comments about Invicta are the real watch collectors who enjoy watches of all different price levels. They like Invicta, but they also like Rolex. I've had a few guys email me and say, man, I've had Rolex, it constantly lost time. I prefer my Invictas better. I like my Invictas better. I wear my Invictas more. It just depends on what you're into and what look you're looking for. If you don't like the big, giant, over-the-top wristwatch, then of course, yeah, Seiko makes wonderful watches. I mean, naturally, Rolex makes a great product. But the thing is that all these watches are at different price points. And for me, I don't think Rolex gives you anything for $4,500 that is even going to, I mean, it looks like a basic $20 watch to me, personally, okay? I mean, I went on their website, I've checked them out, and for you to really get involved in any kind of watch that really stands out, you're going to be spending a lot more than $4,500. And let's face it, one, that doesn't really fit into my budget, and two, I couldn't, if Invicta cost $4,500, I wouldn't get them, okay? My price point on watches is the, like, $300 to $400 price range. Anything more than $400, I just don't want to spend it on. Now, there is a watch by Bulova, I will say. A couple people have turned me on to that one that I may pick up in my collection one day. It's about $400, and that one's the, I believe it's the, I forget the name of it. But anyway, it's not as big as your traditional, you know, like your Invicta watches. You know, it's about the 47mm range, which, you know, that's very subjective. That's still a good size watch. I think it's called the Machinist, something like that. I should look it up right now since we're having this discussion so I don't give you guys a bum steer. Bulova, let's see here. And I like the watch quite a bit. The Precisionist, excuse me, the Precisionist, okay? Great looking watch. I'm sure it's a wonderful watch. You know, I've read a little bit about, you know, the accuracy of the watch. But let's face it, I don't really buy watches because of the, I guess, the art of horology. I don't really necessarily care if it has the best mechanics, if it's handmade or all that stuff. What I care is just how it looks and how it feels and how it makes me feel. And I love collecting watches, and and I like all watches, but Invicta is just the watch I generally go towards because it gives me the look that I want, the unique styling for the price that I'm willing to pay. Rolex, you're going to pay $4,500 for a basic watch. And I'm telling you right now, if you take your Rolex watch and you put a Invicta Grand Diver on, okay, and you go walk around with those things, I bet you 9 times out of 10, again, it's not a guarantee, but you're going to have more people at a distance admire the Invicta watch for its styling than the Rolex. Rolex is just a very basic old man's watch. It's been around for a very long time. It's a very old name of watches, and that's just what it is. You're paying for the name. I'm not saying they're not a good watch, but you know what? They're not. Let's face it, these things all tell time, and most of them all have to be readjusted. None of them keep perfect time unless you're really into that art of horology where somebody's really produced an amazing handmade movement that is, spectacular and never loses a minute. And for me, I just personally don't care. So for the people who want to constantly compare Invicta to Rolex, you have to ask yourselves, where's your brain? Okay, you're comparing a $300 watch to a $4,500 watch. Same thing with Omega. You're not comparing apples to apples here. You're comparing watches that are like 10 times the price of your average Invicta watch. So you can't. It's like comparing a Ferrari, if I can make this simple for you, a Ferrari to like a Hyundai. They still get you from point A to B, but they're totally different animals altogether, okay? So, if you like Rolex, wonderful. Enjoy Rolex. Send it to me. I'll review it for you. No problem. I'll send it back. If you like Omega, that's wonderful. It's all about watch collecting and getting things that match our personality, getting things that we really like. It doesn't matter if other people like them. It's what you like. If you like Invicta, buy Invicta. If you don't like Invicta, there's so many amazing watches out there that will match your styling and your personality. But one thing that doesn't work, no matter what watch you're wearing, is being a hater. And again, I will bring it up again, time and time again, I'll bring it up. And some folks, will message me like, hey, quit rambling about the haters. But no, it's my channel, okay? You're a hater if you take the time to comment on my channel that Invicta sucks. Now, luckily, there's not many. I mean, I'm lucky if I get maybe one or two a month of some negative hate, I get it with my card, too. Oh, it's just, it's ridiculous. Because these folks are probably, and in my other video, I had said that, some about, the geeks, going to play their Xbox. If you like Xbox, that's cool, too. If you want to play all, you like games, I didn't mean it like that. I don't mean it to come across like that. I just mean usually people who open their mouth have nothing. They have nothing. They probably don't even have a watch. They probably never even worn a Invicta watch. Now, I also have had a couple people, so going back to that, let's compare $300 watches to $300 watches, and let's use the brain that we are born with. Use the brain, folks. Use the brain, haters. Compare 300 to 300. So if you want, what would you like to compare Invicta to? Of that kind of style watch in the $300 price range. Okay, yes, Seikos. You can get Seikos. Fantastic watches. I've seen a few Seikos I really like, but they're too small for me. If they made them in the 50 millimeter, I would definitely get another Seiko. But it's just not me. I can't rationalize spending, for the one I like, $300 on a watch that is just very small. It's just not my personality. But Seiko makes a great product. I actually have a vintage Seiko in my collection. That's the watch you want to compare Invicta to, the Seikos, the $300 watches. Another watch, very similar in styling. Your Android watches, although now they're under Aragon, they've kind of sized the watches down a little, but still a wonderful watch, same caliber of quality, still using Seiko movements. And now, I've even had people tell me in the past that, Android's so much better. Android is now using Ronda movements. They're using Ronda movements just like Invicta does, and Seiko automatic movements just like Invicta does. Just like a lot of boys do. A lot of people out there, when they have their basic entry-level automatic watches, we use a Seiko, NH32 I think it is, or NH24. Pretty common in a lot of your Invicta watches, and then Ronda is very, very common in most of your Invicta watches. And now, again, Aragon is now using Ronda movements as well. So another watch to compare apples to apples that Invicta will compare with in that price point, Nixon watches. If you go to the Nixon website, which I think Nixon makes a very fine looking watch, but for what you pay for it, I'm just not willing to spend that money when I can get an Invicta watch that, in my opinion, gives you so much more. You ever feel a Nixon watch? It's not heavy like an Invicta watch. They don't even list the movement. At least Invicta, maybe it's not the best movement ever made, the Rondas, but it's a great Swiss movement. It's still a Swiss movement. and at least they outsource their movements. I guarantee if you bust open the back of a Nixon watch, and hopefully one day I'll have one and I'll go ahead and do that, you probably won't be too impressed with what you see. Another watch in that kind of category, diesel watches. Diesel was one of my first watches that I got in that huge giant face. And I still have my collection, but if you really want to compare it, check out my video where I compare an Invicta watch of the same size, like the Grand Arsenal, to the diesel watch, the biggest one they make. Not the biggest one, to like the Granddaddy, I think. Not the one that came out with the 73mm, that limited edition one, for $1,000. They came out with the other one. They're all over the internet. But another fine looking watch as far as styling, but if you pick it up side by side, it's like half the weight, if even half the weight of a Invicta watch. But that's the price point we're looking at, the $200 to $400 price range. Now Invicta does make some higher end watches that are more higher end because they're limited editions or they use finer materials like diamonds. I don't really get involved in those because I can't rationalize like spending $3,000 on an Invicta watch that I have the same one that just doesn't have a few diamonds on the bezel for like $300. So that's not for me either. But that's what you want to compare the Invicta watches to, that 200, that 200, 250 in that price range. Don't compare it to $4,000, $5,000 watches, folks. So once again, I gotta say it. Haters, morons, apples to apples. Don't compare Invicta to Omega and Rolex or Breitling. They're completely different animals altogether. So that was my 2 cents on Invicta versus Rolex or Invicta versus other watch brands. I just wanted to kind of like shed some light on that because a couple folks have emailed me, again, not that many, but most people who buy Invicta watches are always telling me how excited they are and how happy they are. But one guy posted the other day, he was like, I had an Invicta watch, they're garbage, the hand fell off. Well, yes, okay, moron, yes. You might get one that's bad. It does happen. Just like you might go buy a brand new car and have to put a new alternator in. Or just like you might get a brand new car and it might have an oil leak. These are things that just happen because nothing is perfect. Now, I'm so happy that in your life that everything is wonderfully perfect and you're so amazing. But that's not the way real life works. So time to grow up, face reality, and understand that, yes, sometimes you can get a watch and you can just have bad luck. It does happen, folks. So remember, that, again, if you like my videos, subscribe to the channel. And remember to be protected when you make a purchase because it's not impossible you're going to have a bad one. Buy through PHATKATWatches.com. Click the links to eBay. I've set it up where those links are set up to reputable sellers where if you have an issue, all you got to do is click. You're protected by eBay. You're protected by PayPal. And you ship the watch back. It doesn't cost you anything. It sucks because you're wasting your time, but you're protected. Okay? Definitely I would never recommend getting a brand new watch from Invicta and then turn around if you did have an issue, which of all the watches I purchased, of every Invicta watch I purchased, I've only had one issue with... I'm sorry, 2 issues. One, the chronograph was bad. I had to send it back at a replacement. The other one is on one of my Grand Divers. I decided to keep it anyway because it was $120. And I didn't realize until after I had it for a while, the back is not actually properly seated. And so it's water resistant, but took it in the shower, it started to fog up. So I just don't wear that watch where it's going to get wet. My other watches have all been exceptional. No problems. Other than now, suddenly... After 2 years, my first Invicta watch, my Venom, the battery just died. So now I'm going to have to teach myself how to change the battery because I really don't want to bring it to a jeweler. So stay tuned for those videos once I attempt to do that and get the kit. I don't wear that one that much, so I'm not too motivated to go run out and get the tools and the battery. But I will do it. There'll be a whole new series every time that I replace the battery in a watch. Now, I don't know if that necessarily... Sorry, I'm just looking out the window here. I don't know if that necessarily is the best idea because I know these things come from the factory sealed for extreme water resistance, and it seems like whenever you reseal a watch, I don't know if I would necessarily go diving with them after I'm going to do this, or go swimming with them for that matter. Would I prefer that all my Invictas were automatics? Yes. Most of my Androids are all automatics, but Invicta for most of their watches are quartz. And for the ones that are automatic, it's not the color or style, the particular model I wanted. But yeah, I wish they were all automatic, but you pay a lot more for them too. So there we go, folks. I hope that, again, once again, that shed some light on the comparison of Invicta watch quality, Invicta versus Rolex. I'm not sure what I'm going to put this video under. I think I'll probably list it to really try to get some views on this one here because it's going to spark a whole bunch of attention, positive and negative attention. I think I'll just call it Invicta versus Rolex watches and kind of see where it goes from there. So once again, folks, those of you who like my channel, thank you. For those of you who don't like my channel, that's okay. You don't have to watch it. If you like it, subscribe to the channel. Find me on Facebook.com under Fat Cat Watches. Become part of the wrist shot action. And folks, once again, you don't necessarily have to just like Invicta watches. Become part of that. If you're passion Seiko watches or Omega or Rolex or whatever it is, and you want to be part of the wrist shot action there, great. By all means, friend request me. I will accept. Also, remember, it does help support the channel when you go ahead and make any eBay purchase, whether it be Invicta watches is primarily what I push, or primarily what I review. But remember, if there's anything that you want to pick up and you want to support the channel and you like the content, you want to see it keep growing, anytime you make an eBay purchase through my links at PHATKATWatches.com, again, it doesn't have to be watches, it could be anything on eBay. It does kick back and help to support the channel, and I do really appreciate it. So once again, folks, thank you very much, and as always, have a wonderful day.